Did you know, long before Watch Night became a New Year's Eve church service, it began as a sacred vigil in the Moravian church out of Europe, where people gathered not to celebrate, but to wait. In the early 1700s, the Moravian church held night-long prayer meetings to mark the passing of time and to reflect on spiritual renewal, cultivating a communal discipline of watchfulness, repentance, and the hope that would later influence Protestant revival traditions across the Atlantic. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Haas.
I'm Cece.
Today we got a hot topic for you. Once in America, the Moravian Church practiced a radical vision of spiritual unity that affirmed the equality of all souls before God. In the early years of slavery, Moravians not only worshipped alongside enslaved Africans, but also taught them to read, encouraged personal spiritual expression, and welcomed them into religious life in ways that challenged prevailing racial hierarchies. This brief window of interracial worship reflected a belief that faith could transcend status and color before tightening laws, racial customs, and white backlash made such practices increasingly impossible.
As these Moravian ideas spread, especially among the enslaved, the act of worship took on a profound significance. Faith was no longer about reflection or renewal, but about endurance, coded hope, and the dangerous possibility that faith itself could become a form of resistance.
Enslaved Black people lived under relentless surveillance, and their spiritual practices were closely monitored. White enslavers, especially in the South, feared that unsupervised religious gatherings could inspire resistance rather than submission. As a result, laws were passed to restrict worship in large assemblies, including provisions found in the 1848 Georgia slave codes, which made it illegal for people of color, enslaved or free, to preach, exhort, or take part in religious exercises without a written license, and limited gatherings to very small numbers, and punished violations with fines, lashes, or other penalties.
These laws were rooted in a deep fear that collective prayer, preaching, and nighttime gatherings could become spaces for organizing rebellion rather than promoting obedience. Enslavers understood that spiritual autonomy could foster political consciousness and resistance. So these laws sought to break communal bonds by criminalizing unsupervised worship and turning even sacred gatherings into acts of suspicion and control.
Even under these harsh conditions, enslaved people continued to practice their spiritual traditions. They blended Christianity with Islam and indigenous African belief systems that reflected the culture from which they had been taken. Worship took place in praise houses, on plantations, or in secret gatherings hidden deep in the woods, known as hush harbors. These spaces offered protection and privacy beneath trees and brush. Plantation owners often forbade unsupervised religious meetings, yet people continued to gather secretly to worship. Still, enslaved people persisted, using faith as an act of resistance and a declaration of humanity and hope.
And the night of December 31st, 1862 was no different. Enslaved and free Africans gathered to welcome the new year and wait for confirmation the Emancipation Proclamation had finally taken effect. Just months earlier, on September 22nd, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln issued an executive order declaring that enslaved people in the states, then in rebellion against the Union, would be free as of January 1st, 1863.
From the earliest days of the Civil War, enslaved people have been forcing the issue themselves by fleeing plantations, seeking refuge behind Union lines, and compelling federal officials to confront slavery, not as an abstract problem, but as a living reality of the war. Abolitionists and radical Republicans intensified their pressure on Lincoln, arguing that the Union could not claim a just cause while leaving slavery intact. Black leaders and freedom seekers made it clear that emancipation was essential to any meaningful victory. After months of hesitation and careful timing, Lincoln waited for the Union's hard-fought stand at Antietam to provide the political cover he needed, then used his war powers to redefine the conflict, turning the fight to preserve the Union into a transformative struggle that openly challenged the foundation of the Confederate economy and announced that slavery's days were numbered.
They waited for the Emancipation Proclamation to take legal effect, listening for the exact moment when Lincoln's words would cross from promise into reality. Midnight marked the line between bondage and the possibility of liberation, at least on paper. And every tick of the clock carried the weight of generations of prayer, suffering, and resistance. Some wept, some sang, some prayed in silence, knowing that freedom would not arrive evenly or safely, but believing that when the day turned, slavery had been cracked open and history had shifted in their favor.
Today, Watch Night remains an annual New Year's Eve tradition that honors the memory of slavery and freedom while uplifting faith, community, and resilience. The service holds space for mourning those lost, reflecting on the past year, and calling in protection for the next. It was never just about the calendar turning, but about surviving another year in a world that did not promise safety.
That same spirit carries forward in services today. Services typically begin around 7 p.m. on December 31st and continue until midnight. Faith leaders guide congregations through praise, worship, and reflection as the hour approaches. In many churches, congregants bow their heads in prayer just minutes before midnight while singing, "Watchman, watchman, please tell me the hour of the night." The minister responds by calling out the final moments of the year, announcing when it is 1 minute before midnight, and finally declaring that the new day has arrived and freedom has come, marking the transition into the new year.
Watch Night is also marked by fellowship and food, often followed by celebratory meals on New Year's Day. Many of these food traditions reflect Southern customs shaped by West African beliefs. Collard greens are commonly eaten to symbolize prosperity, while black-eyed peas and rice, known as Hoppin' John, are believed to bring good fortune. Traditionally prepared with black-eyed peas, rice, red peppers, and salt pork, the dish carries deep historical roots. The black-eyed pea originated in Central Africa and traveled through the West Indies before arriving in the Carolinas in the early 1700s. In many West African cultures, the pea was considered a symbol of luck, and that belief endured among enslaved people and their descendants. Alongside Hoppin' John, other common dishes included candied yams, cornbread, potato salad, and macaroni and cheese, with variations reflecting regional and cultural differences across the African American community.
While Watch Night began as a celebration of emancipation, today it also serves as a moment of reflection. It invites people to remember the history of slavery and freedom, and to reflect on the challenges and victories of the past year, and to look ahead with hope. Watch Night stands as a living tradition that honors generations of faith and the enduring belief that freedom, once promised, must always be watched for, protected, and carried forward.
Watch Night reminds us that time itself can be sacred. It asks us to pause before rushing forward to honor what was endured and what is hoped for. It's not just about watching the clock strike 12. It is about bearing witness to history, survival, and the promise of tomorrow. If you've got any other information that you can share about Watch Night, please put it in the comments below. Please help us grow as usual by sharing this video, liking it, and of course hit the notification bell so that you can be informed when we upload a new video. And lastly, good people, peace and love. Have a great new year.